Hey everybody, if I can get y'all attention for 1 second. So I was asked to speak about, real quick, I was asked to speak about an issue that I think is extremely important to the city and extremely important to this nation and extremely important to the state. I come standing on the shoulders of victims who have been impacted by gun violence, who have lost children, lost family members to gun violence, and if we can do one thing, in honor of those families, if we could do one thing, if we could just take a moment of silence for everybody who's lost somebody to gun violence, just take 30 seconds of my time to everybody who's lost somebody to gun violence, and let's have a moment of silence for them, please. Martin Luther King said, "The ultimate measure of a man is not where he stands in moments of comfort or convenience, but where he stands at times of challenge and controversy." I'm going to repeat that one more time. The ultimate measure of a man is not where he stands in moments of comfort and convenience, but where he stands at times of challenge of controversy. Sandra gave me a call earlier this week, and she asked me, she said, "Shaun, I want you to come in, I want you to represent, I want you to speak on behalf of gun violence." And this past week, over the last couple of days, I've met with family members, mothers who have been impacted by gun violence. When I leave here today, we'll actually do a podcast where we'll sit down with mothers who've been impacted by gun violence. And one of the hardest parts of that conversation is that when you sit down with a mother who has just lost a child on December 12th, in a week before they're getting ready to actually plan their child's Christmas, they have to now shift from planning their child's Christmas to planning their child's funeral. Martin Luther King challenges us, and I think in this moment, and one of the things that I'm privileged to is that I sit under the pastor leadership of a man by the name of Reverend Timothy McDonald. And the one thing that I'm privileged to is that Reverend McDonald always gives me this interpretation. Every day he texts me something every morning, and what he texts me, he says, "Shaun, wherever there's a vision, God provides provision for the vision." This morning, as I was thinking about what I was going to say, I went back to Dr. Martin Luther King's speech. And in Dr. Martin Luther King's speech, he ended by saying, he says, "I dream of a nation in which my 4 little children would grow up where they would not be judged by the color of their skin, but by the contents of their character." And I believe if Martin Luther King was here today, he would change his speech just a little bit, James, and he would say to us that I dream that my 4 little children will have the opportunity to even grow up in a nation, period. When we talk about gun violence, so many times we talk about youth who are killed to gun violence, but the fact of the reality is that, y'all, if somebody's 80 years old, that's somebody's child. If they're 70 years old, that's somebody's child. If they're 60 years old, that's somebody's child. If they're 50 years old, that's somebody's child. My appeal to you today on MLK Day is don't let it become personal to you before we start doing something about it. Don't let it become your reality before we start doing something about it. Don't let it become your child before we start doing something about it. So in my last minute, I want to challenge us to do this. In 2023, the mayor just left us a message. He talked about the importance of community. The importance of community. And I know some people are just moving around talking because it's not your reality, but the importance of community. It's not your reality, the importance of community. I want to challenge us in 2023 to go bigger to think bigger than we've ever thought about ourselves, to dream bigger than we ever thought, to make sure that we understand that gun violence does not have to be our reality, that we don't have to lose another person to gun violence, that we can do bigger, we can do better, but it's going to take community. It's going to take community. It's going to take community. It's going to take every elected official. It's going to take every nonprofit in this room. It's going to take labor. It's going to take all of us. You guys, last Saturday I had an opportunity to go visit somebody. And I was sitting in the house, and I was just telling you this story. I was sitting in the house, and I had been texting this person all day because I was going to go visit them. They had just lost a family member, and we had been in communication all day. And we had said, "I'm going to meet you at 1 o'clock, I'm going to meet you at 2 o'clock, I'm going to meet you at 3 o'clock. And finally, we set up on the time, Deborah, a meeting at 3:30. I pull up at this person's house, not knowing what to expect, knowing that I'm going there to that person's house to help them grieve through their problem, right? Pull up at this person's house, and there's a black car there, Miss Deborah Scott, and out of that black car, there's 2 women getting out of the black car, and I seen them, but I did not know who they were. We get in this person's living room, and they're sitting there talking to them. And you would think that in that moment, James, because of the people who are in the room were people who run these national nonprofits, you would think in that moment we were focused on our nonprofits, but for 3 hours, We sat there and we talked about not our nonprofits, but the importance of working together, the importance of community, the importance of the fact that we have to stand up to gun lobbyists, and the importance that we have to stand up. Why? Because of the fact that we understand that as much as we want to protect the right to vote, we can't protect the right to vote if we don't have nobody to protect the right to vote for. As much as we want to protect the right to labor, we can't protect their jobs if they're dead on the streets. As much as we want to protect everybody in these different spaces, as much as we want to protect our kids to keep them out of probate court, we can't protect them if they're dead on the streets and you have to bury them at the age of 8. As much as we want to protect our people, we can't protect them and we can't turn out the polls if they're afraid to go to school and they don't understand the importance of why they vote. As much as we want to protect our people. Y'all, Martin Luther King said the real measure of a man is not what we do in moments of convenience, but the real measure of a man is what we do in moments of controversy. Y'all, this is a moment of controversy. What are we going to do? Let's partner together. Let's bring that beloved community together. Let's work together and let's challenge each other like never before. In 2023, we released 152 balloons of people lost in Metro Atlanta. Let's bring that down to 100 balloons. That's our challenge, because too many people have been lost. And we stand on the shoulders of too many people who have been lost. And my passion is that if anybody wants to work, I run a nonprofit called BlackPush. If you're ready to work and you're ready to stand up and say, no more will people be shot, I'm not asking for your money, I'm asking for your hand. And let's join in it together. And let's do this together. That's what community is all about.